Well, until the banner goes, right?
Yes, until the banner goes.
Okay.
We are waiting for everybody to enter.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome. This webinar is going to help us glean into the work of sector ombuds, and the sector ombuds we have here this morning are from health, law, and financial services. My name is Zetu Makamandela Mkukulwa, and my role is simpler yet important because I will just be guiding the proceedings for this morning. And I would really like to welcome and thank beforehand the esteemed speakers for this morning. I will introduce them before they start their respective session. I want to welcome all the people joining us from all over the globe. Last we checked, the numbers were heading for 200, and we really are grateful that people make the time for this very important convening. So we have people here who are going to help us understand their wealth of ombuds, their wealth of experience in the ombud sector, people who promote fairness, justice, and accountability across their different ombudsing domains. Like I said, it's health that we have, law, and finance. So these are the people who safeguard the rights of ordinary people, looking after service. Because we do know that it's never a question of whether or not the public will get the shorter stick of the bargain. It happens, and now we know who to go to when that happens. So the aim for this morning's webinar is to highlight these distinct mandates and to share how they go about doing their work in the various sectors. They will surface their unique challenges, and my invitation to the participants is that they actively use the chat function for questions. You've been invited beforehand to send some, and we've noted the ones that were sent. I just want to say at some point, the PP, the Public Protector of South Africa, Advocate Talega, who was supposed to do the official welcome, could not make this meeting due to another engagement. She may try and squeeze in from afar and welcome you. And if she doesn't, there may be someone from her office, but so that you all know, she is aware of your being here and would have loved to welcome you herself. So the first person to speak is Reana Steyn. Reana has a very beautiful and long history that spans decades. She is currently the CEO of what we abbreviate as NFO, standing for the National Financial Ombud Scheme, a scheme that started. The scheme is newish. It started in 2024, but the person at its helm is not new in the industry, not new in her role. Reana has played various sectors in financial ombudsing. So the wealth of experience that she brings, including being the very first ombud for banking services. She also has served as deputy to the credit ombud, worked in the corporate, responsible for compliance within KPMG, trained as a lawyer, She holds a BCom Law degree and is admitted as an attorney. Reana, I cannot, within the time given, do service or justice, rather, to your very rich resume. So without any further ado, over to you. You have about 15 minutes. Welcome, Reana.
Thank you. Thank you for that, those kind words. And I think I need to start off by saying thank you so much to the African Ombudsman Research Center for hosting this very important session. It is truly a pleasure from my side to join you today on behalf of the NFO. The new kid on the block, so to speak. It's new because it's a new brand, it's a new name, but I will explain that we didn't really start only last year. So bringing us all together, you've given us a platform to learn from one another and to strengthen the work we do for the people we serve. So thank you for that. As I've said, the NFO started in March 2024, but it has a long and rich history because we brought together 4 schemes that were in existence for more than 25 years. We counted one day, and together we've had more than 103 years of experience between the 4 schemes that we brought together under one roof, and we now called the NFO. So those 4 schemes is the banking ombudsman, the credit ombudsman. Non-bank credit in South Africa is quite big. The insurance, the non-life insurance, we're talking about motor and household insurance, and then also the life insurance. Those were 4 separate schemes, industry schemes that developed and did wonderful work over many, many years. And for good reasons, we decided over the past few years, and we worked for a couple of years on this, to bring it all together, inter alia, to make it easier for consumers, so that they don't have to wonder which scheme to go to, how to navigate the system of ombuds offices, and that it's just easy for them to contact us and say, I've got a problem. It is in the financial services, but I'm not sure exactly where it fits. And that is one of the reasons why we did this. So our legacy gives us organization deep roots and proven credibility from day one. So I'd like to share some slides with you. I hope it works. Is it in presentation mode? Not yet.
Not yet.
Now?
Not yet still. Give it time.
Okay. On my side it is.
We are not seeing it yet. Did you hit the share button? Are you sharing it with us?
Yeah, so sorry, just let me go back. Just a second.
There you have it. Now we can.
Is it in presentation mode now?
It was there and you took it back. Okay, it is. It is.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Great. Okay, so that is the first slide. Hey, the opening slide. Am I correct? Are you all seeing that?
Yes, we are. We are.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm really going to run through these slides fairly quickly. So just to explain who we are and what we do, our vision. I think it's similar to a vision that all ombudsmen will have, but for us, we are seriously on a mission to be recognized as a world-class financial ombuds office. And if we can get that right, we know that we will enhance consumer confidence in the financial services industry. There's a lot of mistrust, a lot of suspicion, and a lot of often negativity where you see this coming through on social media against financial services. but we also know that it is absolutely crucial for financial services to work for a country to be prosperous. And we will do this through our dispute resolution services and also continuously sharing our insights and knowledge. We have some internal values, I'm sure similar to many organizations, of integrity, passion, excellence, and to be visionary. Principles. These are also international ombudsman principles that we subscribe to. I'm not going to go through that in detail, but I think the one thing that's very important is that it is fair. Our processes and decisions must be fair, but also be fair to both parties, not just fair for consumers, because then we'll be consumer activists. So we are not consumer activists. We are an independent body. So that's why independence is another value. Open and transparent. So we really are very open. We also have a system where the members organizations, the financial services organizations, can log in to see their own number of cases. They can see where we are. And we publish our statistics to regulators, to the public. So we really want to be open about the work we do. And of course, we want to be accessible. We're trying to make it easy to complain, and we are free to consumers. So we've set up that we are a new organization, this National Financial Ombud Scheme, but we have 4 divisions. And these 4 divisions fall back to the schemes that made up this NFO, because we have expertise in those divisions, expertise built up over 20 plus years. So the complaint will be, sort of channeled through to the right division by our staff in our contact center. We also have quite a big contact center, and I'll share just a very last slide, some statistics. So our mandate includes obviously to resolve the complaints in this free, impartial manner. We have to ensure fairness, as I've explained, to both parties. We also want to provide consumer education. We do take our role to educate consumers about financial rights and responsibilities quite seriously. And we go out to, in all sorts of forums to educate consumers, whether it's on the radio, whether it is talking to people in communities, sending out press releases, we do that. And then, of course, we collaborate with other ombud schemes, with our colleagues, not in financial services, but any other ombud scheme, because we really are doing the same kind of work. We're working for the consumers, for the public, to ensure that their rights are protected. We have a few operational strategies that I can share. Again, we start with the basis, what we're doing, proactive complaints resolution. Obviously, we want to be effective. We've got an effective case management system so that we can do the redress as quickly as possible. Stakeholder engagement, very important for us. We have to collaborate with the financial services industries, with our regulator, and also then obviously with the consumers. Continuous development. We want to align ourselves with the best practices in ombudsmanry, which is also, I think, why this forum is so important, and also to do research-based recommendations in our decisions. Technology and innovation, we've done some research. Ombudsmen are quite slow to implement AI, but we are going to get there, because I think that is the way financial services are driven. So as ombudsmen, we can't fall behind. We have to implement AI, but yeah, we are more conservative than our colleagues in the financial services industry. Our contribution to financial health is how we're going to do this. We want to enhance public confidence. And that is what I find when you see, as I've said, on social media, a lot of mistrust, a lot of negativity. And if the consumers only know that they do have an independent and fair body where they can complain, it will enhance the public confidence. At the moment, we see so many people, they want to complain on TikTok, on social media, and the other members of the public give them advice, sometimes very wrong advice. And you just see that they do not know about the existence of an ombud scheme and that they can complain free of charge. So that is, we really need to get there so that we can build the public confidence in financial services. Through our learnings that we share, we want to also reduce fraudulent and ethical practices. Our complaints investigation, we hold the service providers accountable when necessary. And when it is the consumers who fell for a fraud, a scam, we want to educate them to be aware of the scams out there, that through which they can lose a lot of money. And we can't always hold the financial institution accountable if it is the consumer who compromised their information. So we need to educate consumers. We want to work on strengthening regulatory frameworks and the protection provided through the regulation to the consumers. And through all of this work, I think you end up doing, you support the economy, a stable economy with confident consumers in the financial services industry. We very often work with other ombud schemes. So I just wanted to highlight that because this is the platform where I think people want to see what it is we do. Because we have shared objectives. We all want to uphold fairness, whichever industry we are in. We want to be transparent and we want to be effective in dispute resolution. So we want to share cases with each other and we want to do joint consumer protection initiatives. It's very difficult in my experience through the last 15 years, for any scheme on their own to do a lot of consumer education initiatives. Whether you want to go out to the community, whether you want to go to a shopping center to just raise awareness of the work we do and that there is such an organization, it is complicated. It is, we don't have the staff, we don't have the resources. But if we join hands, it makes it much easier. So it's something that we really all should work to do more of. And then, of course, we want to work together to do more research and share knowledge with each other and also with the public. The key statistics, I said in the beginning, I'd like to just share some key statistics. So even though we've only started a year ago, we really did hit the ground running because before the 1st of March 2024, there were 4 separate schemes that were doing work. We brought all those cases over into the NFO. Not a single day of productivity was lost. We immediately started logging complaints on the 1st of March under the name of the NFO, but we continued to handle and close off the old cases. So from that day, from 1 March 24 to date, we've opened 51,000 cases. We've closed about 39,000. The rest is, as you can imagine, our work in progress. We've received 148,000 calls. So our call center really quite busy. And often the calls are not for our office. It's people who are just phoning. I don't know if they Googled and they found our office and they're asking advice. And then we will, of course, our call center, they really have, they're well trained and they have lists of organizations with telephone numbers and email addresses where we can send consumers if the case is not for our office. If it's not in the financial services industry, in banking, non-bank credit, non-life insurance and life insurance, we will refer the consumer to the right office. We have a consumer satisfaction score currently of 61%. Obviously, we want to work on that. Often that score is linked to the fact that we didn't find in the consumer's favor in the outcome of the case. And the amounts recovered on behalf of consumers yet since that time, that's 600 million in South African rand. It is a significant number. Money put back into the pockets of consumers, which they probably would not have had if it wasn't for our office. So for any consumers who think that we are not effective, that we are possibly biased because we're an industry scheme, we are not a government scheme at the moment. It's set up by or paid for by the industry. That number, I think, is all we need to share. And I think I want to just say a few words in conclusion that we really want to commit ourselves to financial justice and education, ensuring fairness and transparency in this financial services sector. Some of it is sometimes still lacking. And we appreciate the dialogue and also the interaction with other ombud schemes. It is institutions like ours, whether it's health, law, finance. We believe that we are vital to the democracy. We are not just complaint handlers. We are also accountability enablers. We stand between the power of the organizations and the people. And we want to try and ensure that both are treated with fairness and respect. And it is in that spirit that today's session is really important, because you're bringing together ombudsman officers from different areas so that we can learn from each other and from each other's experiences. So I'm going to end off on that note. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Reana, for that very informative input. And I was really pleased to actually hear you elaborate on education, because what is the use of having these services if the public that you are looking after does not even know that you exist? And the idea of collaborating, because sometimes once you do it singularly, yet you can collaborate, more people are covered and more information is shared around how this country is really, really looking after fairness and transparency and the rights, including justice for ordinary citizens. So thank you very much for that. Questions are being lighted for you, so you will get to answer after everything is done. Then the second speaker is Professor Mokoena, Taole Mokoena. Professor Mokoena is South Africa's Health Ombud. Professor comes from a rich academic history and, of course, a medical graduate professionally, graduated from the University of Natal and went on to do a DPhil qualification in Oxford. Now, of course, retired with a wealth of experience, therefore a lot of contribution to still make to the country. So Prof used to be, during his working years, head of surgery at the University of Pretoria. And in his role as Ombud, he investigates complaints in the health sector. And people, at least South Africans, will know that one of the landmarks of that office was the eSitimeni investigation. And I'm sure as part of his presentation, he will touch on that too. Basically looking at the quality of the health services, again, looking after the welfare of South Africa's public. Like I said, as an academic, some people say once an academic, always an academic. Even in retirement, Professor Mokoena is still continuing as a scholar, supporting research and some teaching. So Professor Mokoena, I hope you are ready, and over to you. Let's hear how your office is doing its amazing work.
Thank you very much, Madam Makamandela. And thanks for everybody that's on this webinar now. And I thought I should slant my conversation towards an argument of why we exist, why specialist ombudsmen exist. And of course, the ombudsman of specialty ombudsman that I do know is the Health Ombudsman. And the outline of my of my talk will be, first of all, just touch on the evolution of the role of ombudsman, and then also to look at health as a human right, and that a good health is an economic imperative. And then I'll then hone on to the dedicated health ombudsman and use some illustrative examples, including the life as it mean, and finish off by talking about what I think is an ideal model for a health ombudsman. Now, briefly, the evolution of ombudsman in general, or a parliamentary representative, started about 2 decades ago, centuries ago in Sweden, where the parliament in Sweden was a bicameral chamber of one for the aristocrats and the other for the property elite. And importantly, all of these were men. So the women and the rest of the population are not represented. And therefore, Parliament invented this parliamentary representative to represent the interests of the public. The role of ombudsman, as defined by the International Ombudsman Association, is to listen, understand, and mediate on citizens' matters while remaining absolutely neutral and objective. It also assists individuals to understand their problems and the available options to resolve these problems. But more importantly, it assists the citizens to finalize the resolution of these matters. And then from its, that is the ombudsman work, they could identify new opportunities to change the organization of the system. Now, it's important, particularly in our country, to separate the health ombudsman as a statutory watchdog for human rights vis-a-vis the regulatory authorities. Now, the ombudsman, as Madam Steyn had said, they protect and promote the human rights, whereas the regulatory authorities, such as the Health Professions Council or Nursing Council in South Africa, they do what exactly that. They regulate the profession. Now, we need to differentiate between statutory and voluntary ombudsman. As Madam Steyn has just said now, some industries and professionals, they have established industry ombudsmen, and which have got no legal authority as such, whereas the statutory ombudsmen, they are found ombudsman vis-a-vis the statutory offices, such as the Health Professions Council has got a medical ombudsman, and this somehow confuses the population about their role, the role of the medical ombudsman vis-a-vis the health ombudsman. And some of the complaints come to us, which or they go to the HPCSA because people are confused and are not aware. Of course, this needs, as already been mentioned, very, very thorough and concerted public education so that people can differentiate between those. Now, health and healthcare are a human right. As the United Nations Declaration on Human Rights attests, right to life, and in Article 25, it also attests the right to a standard of living adequate for health. The World Health Organization Declaration on Universal Health Coverage, it advocates access to safe healthcare without financial barrier. South Africa, on the other hand, in the Constitution on Human Rights, it affirms the right to life, and it defines the Bill of Rights, which includes secondary generation rights as access to healthcare. Now, health is an economic determinant. A healthy population is an economic imperative. A healthy population makes for happy citizens, and a healthy citizen make a healthy workforce. And a healthy workforce is efficient without any, with a good throughput, without sickness, absenteeism. And a happy workforce increases and supports workplace morale, and happy citizens they make formidable consumers and optimistic customers. Above all, maintaining good health is in itself an economic endeavor, which creates the existence of the healthcare industry. And just looking at the evolution of health ombudsman, the first ombudsman was established by legislation in Finland in 1992, where they formed the patient ombudsman. And this patient ombudsman informs the patient of their rights, promotes the implementation of these rights, and guides the public onto their right to complain. The health ombudsman, therefore, also encompasses a health or a patient advocacy role. Currently, the position of health ombudsman only exists in a few countries, including Finland itself, United Kingdom, among others. Let's look at the dedicated health versus generic ombudsman in addressing healthcare rights. The healthcare and health
I think we've lost Prof.
Frankie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I think we've lost Prof. I think we can.
It's Prof that we've lost.
Yes.
It's Prof that we've lost. So what we will do, we'll perhaps give Prof, surely he is trying to come back, a few minutes to rejoin us. And it will be a pity because we've been really, really following the bit of history that he is bringing into it. And also caution on what to look out for in terms of difference in how the work is done. I think when we lost him, he was still outlining the countries, the history, and the difference between legislative ombuds, which all the speakers are, their offices are creatures of a statute, versus voluntary ombuds that come from different sectors, not necessarily initiated by any legislation. In the interest of time, Prof will just come back and summarize. He was very close to the end. Let's move on. And give opportunity
Prof is back.
to then. Is Prof coming back? Prof, are you finding us again?
My team here is working frantically.
All right.
I hope you can hear me talk.
Now we can hear you. Now we can hear you. Are you at it? Are you looking into the problem?
Yes, we are getting on top of it. But,
are you close to finish, or are you in the middle? Where are you at?
Just to continue, I just talked about the first Health Specialized Ombud, and also comparing the specialized and dedicated Health Ombud vis-a-vis a generic Ombud. Now, I just want to say that the role of the Health Ombud, among others, is to safeguard and promote and overarching rights of patients. And the Ombud must be impartial, investigate complaints against a variety of individuals and facets within the healthcare system. And more importantly, it mediates in eventual conflicts resolution and plays a central role in disseminating information about the rights of the patients, i.e., it plays an advocacy role. Thus, the health ombudsman is a specialist in dealing with complaints, identifying adversaries within the healthcare system and resolve them. In South Africa, the Health Ombudsman was established by the Act of Parliament of National Health Act as amended in 2018, and the first ombudsman was appointed in 2016. And the Act implores the ombudsman to consider, investigate, and dispose of complaints in a fair, economical, and expeditious manner, without fear or favor. The ombudsman may, on his own part, undertake self-initiated investigation where circumstances warrant. The functioning of the South African Health Ombud is to mediate between conflicts between the health users and the health system, and formulate remediation of defective actions and systems issues. However, he has got no enforcement powers. In South Africa, the OHSC monitors the responses of the health system.
Prof, we've lost you again. Prof, we've lost you.
Of
Professor, we've lost you. Professor Mokoena? Professor Mokoena, we've lost you.
I'm trying to recover.
All right. Okay. I just wanted to hear your voice.
Yes. Now we have issues with unstable connectivity here. However, I'm about to finish anyway.
Yes, you cautioned us.
The tension between we need to discuss the tension between mediation and punitive role of the Health Ombud. Brief is that the mediation role is less threatening all around, and thus parties are more likely to cooperate with the investigation. And mediation helps change attitudes, while punitive action may increase compliance, that is, change behavior. It generates increased litigation. And now let's look at two examples where the work of the Health Ombud made significant change in the system. And the first one is the life asset domain, where chronic psychiatric patients were placed in unqualified, under-resourced community psychiatric care facilities. And this resulted in 144 deaths. And the Ombudsman report resulted in separate inquest and judicial inquiry proceedings. And the end result of that is that some punitive awards were offered. And likewise, the report resulted in the Gauteng province reversing and subsequently debarring placement of psychiatric patients in unvetted, unqualified community psychiatric care centers. This is an illustration of an overall psychiatric patient care system overall in the province and indeed in the country. The second example is maltreatment or denial of treatment of pregnant women. The Rahima Musa Mother and Child Hospital is a specialized facility. It denied care and maltreated pregnant women. This is an example of systematic administrative, operational, and infrastructure failures coupled with professional ethics lapses. The Health Ombud's report resulted in Gauteng currently refurbishing the infrastructure, including sewage system, and also revamping the HR systems in the hospital. The report engendered a partnership between the private capital and government to procure appropriate equipment, modern equipment for these women, resulting in an overall revamping of that hospital. Perhaps where I should go is to say that it is important that the Health Ombudsman be unimpeded and free of charge for the healthcare users, and this should be underpinned by legislation. And then the Health Ombud must have the autonomy to investigate and have unfettered access to all information and records about patients, and have freedom to interview anyone that may have relevant information. And the Health Ombudsman's findings should be binding and legislation must underpin that. And lastly, the ombudsman must have transparency as well as advocacy. To do this, they must have the authority and the independence to disclose reports to all professionals and other healthcare providers, not only the ones that are implicated, but to the whole system in general. Likewise, the reports must be made public so as to foster transparency and promote the patient rights. And what would be the future of health ombudsman in South Africa and globally? And we think that a health ombudsman is necessary, if not mandatory, and it must be legislated.
Sorry, Prof, I trust you are wrapping up. Your time is up. It's been difficult to step in.
I am. Don't forget, I've had interruptions.
Okay.
The health ombud is not only independent, but must be seen to be independent. Must be able to work with other organizations and organs within the healthcare system. But more importantly, it must cooperate with those outside the health system, such as the Public Protector and the Human Rights Commission, in order to address and adjudicate public health establishment matters. And then what remains is for me to thank the organizers and the audience, including you, for your patience despite the interruptions of the connectivity problems that we have experienced. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prof. Mokoena. It's fascinating to see that ombuds can also advocate for themselves, because Prof was quick to remind me about the time he might have lost. I'm glad you could peacefully get to the end of your presentation, which was very informative again. And it's interesting how the notion of fairness, justice, and transparency cuts through in what we've heard up to now. And I liked how you talk about, the role of health, because sometimes we take things for granted when you talk about health and the economy. And again, highlighting what was mentioned before as the landmark investigation for your office. So thank you very much, because it got the country saying that ombuds provide voice to people who are vulnerable, people who find themselves voiceless in situations. I really also liked, Prof, when you spoke about, the ability to embark on investigations, your own motion investigations into the actions or inactions of the health services in the country. And, human rights, again, they cut across everything that we've heard, and negligence still is a huge concern in the sector. And knowing that there is an office that is actually in place to make sure that wrongs are corrected and the service is flawless for people who need to be advocated for. And I liked how you particularly indicated that your office is a typical, type of an advocate ombuds in its statutory way of operation as a creature of a statute. Thank you very much, Prof. Mokoena. Without wasting any more time, we'll get to our last but not least speaker, Ms. Munira Balim. Ms. Balim comes from the office of the Legal Ombud. Again, another speaker with a very impressive history, and the AORC is really spoiling us with, an all-star lineup. And thank you very much for that. Thank you. Ms. Balim is a seasoned legal professional with a career that spans 3 decades. Again, coming from a legal background, obviously, completed her legal studies way back in 1987. So that tells a story, in terms of how much she's contributed already and how much she's seen to be able to contribute fully in the current role that she's holding. So was admitted as an attorney back in 1990, holds 2 master's degrees, one in labor law and another in general law. So this is someone who's worked for the public service, therefore well-placed to actually investigate in the interest and advocate in the interest of the public. She's worked as a public service state attorney and also worked, in a private firm, took a sabbatical, and upon her return, she joined the not-so-new office of the Legal Ombuds, and in that office, she holds a role of being an acting senior manager for complaints and investigations. Ms. Balim, over to you, and thank you.
Thank you for that very kind introduction, Zeki. Just to state firstly, the Legal Services Ombud is Judge Siraj Desai, and he extends his apologies for not attending today. Unfortunately, he had a prior commitment. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, I don't have a detailed presentation as our 2 previous speakers, but I hope you can listen to me. I'm going to start off with the background and introduction. Unlike Professor, I'm not going back 2 centuries, but I will start a few decades ago. As the winds of change blew into South Africa on the 27th of April, 1994, and transformed our society to a fully fledged constitutional democracy, we entered into a new era as a country with the constitutional dispensation and rule of law. The Bill of Rights is the cornerstone of our democracy, and it affirms equality, human dignity, and freedom. For the first time in South African history, the majority of her people became free to elect their own leaders, free from state oppression and discrimination based on race and color, free to choose where they want to live, work, and study, and free to marry and love who they choose without any fear or reprisals. The advent of democracy resulted in fundamental changes in legislation, which was necessary to uphold the values and principles as enshrined in the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, 1996, and the Bill of Rights. Justice is a fundamental human right and is embodied in Section 34 of the Constitution, which states, everyone has the right to have any dispute that can be resolved by the application of law, decided in a fair public hearing before a court, or where appropriate, another independent and impartial tribunal or forum. The legal profession in the pre-constitutional and post-constitutional era was not broadly representative of the demographics of the country, and the majority of its people had little or no access to legal services. The poor and marginalized had little hope of their legal issues being resolved, or no knowledge of their fundamental rights and interests as citizens. Entry into the profession was also restricted, and many of the bar councils and law societies were predominantly male and white. The legal profession was also regulated by different laws in different parts of the country, which resulted in the profession being fragmented and divided. Changes were necessary in harmonizing the profession and giving effect to the imperatives of the Constitution. In 2002, the then Minister of Justice established a task team to draft a legal practice bill. And after much debate, discussion, and deliberation, which took more than a decade to finalize, the Legal Practice Act 28 of 2014 was finally promulgated and came into operation in various stages. The coming into operation of the Legal Practice Act of 28 of 2014 created its own winds of change in the legal profession. Prior to the coming into operation of the Legal Practice Act, the law societies in the various provinces both regulated and represented attorneys and candidate attorneys. Bar councils dealt with complaints against advocates who were members of bar councils. The Legal Practice Council, established in terms of the Legal Practice Act, now regulates all legal practitioners, including advocates and attorneys. The Legal Practice Act also provided for the establishment of the Office of a Legal Services Ombud. The Office of the Legal Services Ombud is a relatively new entity in the legal landscape. It was established in March 2022 with the promulgation of Chapter 5 of the Legal Practice Act. This chapter outlines the appointment of the Ombud along with its objectives and mandates. A pressing question is, what exactly is the role of the Ombud? And is there any overlap with the Legal Practice Council? Firstly, let me explain what the Office of the Legal Services Ombud is not. We are not a regulatory body. The responsibility to investigate misconduct against legal practitioners, conduct disciplinary hearings, and impose sanctions lies with the Legal Practice Council. Additionally, we are not an appeal or a review body. In addition to Chapter 5, other sections of the Act, such as Section 42, grants the Ombud the authority to monitor the investigation of complaints by investigating committees, the conduct of disciplinary committees during disciplinary hearings, and the conduct of appeal tribunals during appeal proceedings. This is transformational. As previously, there was no oversight of disciplinary matters by an independent body, except through a court process. The clauses relating to oversight role of the ombuds provide for greater accountability on the part of the legal profession to the public. Before I delve into our specific role, let me explain why the legislature deemed there is a need for a legal services ombud in South Africa. For many years, the legal profession has been allowed to self-regulate, often prioritizing its own norms and practices over the public interest. The phrase, lawyers protect their own, became synonymous with the frustration of aggrieved clients who witnessed what was perceived as lenient punishment for lawyers guilty of gross misconduct. This stigma surrounding legal practitioners persists to this day, and regrettably, it is not totally unfounded. Numerous press reports highlight cases of lawyers swindling their clients out of millions of rands, reinforcing the perception that lawyers are wealthy individuals lacking moral scruples. Mario Puzo once wrote, "A lawyer with a briefcase can steal more than 100 men with guns." This is unfortunate because legal practitioners serve as the guardians of the law and custodians of our democracy. The tenets of our democracy lies in the ability of the law to be enforceable and for the public to see that the law works for the majority of the people. Many individuals seek legal assistance due to adverse circumstances, and it is crucial for the public to trust that those equipped to help will help with integrity. So the important question is, what exactly is the Office of the Legal Services Ombud? The Office of the Legal Services Ombud serves as an oversight body for the legal profession. It was established to ensure that those operating under the Legal Practice Act, including legal practitioners, adhere to the Act and to ethical guidelines. The mandate of our office is to protect and promote the public interest in legal services, educate the public about their rights and available recourse, ensure legal services are provided ethically, ensure fair and efficient investigation of complaints, oversee the Legal Practice Council's investigations to ensure they are conducted properly and without undue delay, promote the integrity and independence of the legal profession, safeguard the profession from external interference. How the Ombud achieves its objectives. The Ombud monitors complaints of misconduct against legal practitioners that are before the LPC. It also investigates issues upon receiving a complaint on its own initiative, including maladministration in applying the Act, when the LPC or other functionaries fail to perform their duties correctly, abuse or unjustifiable exercise of power, unfair conduct or undue delay, acts or omissions causing unlawful and improper prejudice, actions by legal professionals, their regulators, or functionaries that negatively impact individuals as potential complainants. The Legal Services Ombud is indeed not limited to helping only the public, but also provides assistance to legal practitioners who feel the regulator isn't acting within its mandate. The Legal Services Ombud can also resolve disputes by mediation, conciliation, or even negotiation. The Ombud has published various reports which can be accessed on its website via the Department of Justice website. The Ombud utilizes an outreach program to educate the public about their rights and is currently expanding this initiative to increase frequency and reach a wider audience. By having the Legal Services Ombud, both the public and legal practitioners have a platform to voice their concerns and seek resolution without necessarily going through the courts. The Legal Services Ombud's role is also to serve as a watchdog, ensuring that the legal profession maintains its integrity and independence. The bulwark of any democracy is a free and independent legal system. The legal profession has always valued its independence and were important role players in the struggle for freedom, not only in South Africa, but all over the world. Without law and lawyers, civilization would not have been possible. Lawyers play a vital role in preserving and protecting our rights as citizens. An independent legal system maintains administrative accountability, transparency, and fairness in the legal profession. The Office of the Legal Services Ombud is independent and owes its loyalty only to the Constitution and the interest of the public. The independence is integral to restore the confidence in the legal profession. The legal profession in its nature is rooted in assisting the public. It is therefore important to ensure that the relationship of trust between the public and legal practitioners is not only preserved, but also strengthened. The aim of this office is not only to restore the faith of the public in the arms of justice administered by legal practitioners, but to also maintain the integrity of what is meant to be a noble profession. The ultimate success of this office will have far-reaching benefits, not only for the public, but also for the legal profession as a whole. If the legal profession adopts a collaborative approach with our office, it will likely lead to a significant shift in public perception, fostering a greater trust and confidence in the profession. I leave you with these final words. The great philosopher and lawyer Marcus Tullius Cicero wrote many books on natural law, justice, and politics. But his words, "Let the welfare of the people be the ultimate law," is relevant today as it was centuries ago. Thank you very much. Hello.
Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much. We might not have gone far, but you started us with the winds of change, which was equally interesting, just to remind us where we came from as a country. Thank you for introducing your office. And it's impressive because it's easy to say it's another new office, but hearing the work that you've already done, it's quite pleasing. So from what you shared with us, I just want to get my video back. Yes. So thank you for explaining what the role of the Legal Services Ombud is, and how you might have heard that there's been confusion around how you are placed to deal with the LPC. So thank you for explaining that you will oversee. In fact, your role is to oversee its work. And I like how you explained what you are not, as much as you explained what you are. The independence of your office, I think it brings a very welcome understanding, and it plugs a gap, because sometimes people tend to worry about whether, like you said, that lawyers, there's been a while when lawyers would be players, and then, the regulation still sits with them. So playing player and ref at the same time, so that your office is actually a body that oversees how the game is played, ensuring that the interest of the public comes first, and that there's integrity and a solid form of oversight is actually refreshing. And thank you so much for your presentation. Now it's time for, questions and answers. And there were questions that were sent before, and one of them, you actually have answered them. One being that, what is the relevance of the ombudsman in a growing nation? I think unless one of any of the three speakers can actually just add on to what we've already had, highlighting the role of an ombudsman in a growing nation from any sector. So that's an open one. From here, I will direct questions to the relevant presenter. So who would like to go for this one?
I will give it maybe just a first try.
Yes. Thanks, Reana.
I think the short answer must be that it is to enhance the public confidence. in every area, whether it is with the legal profession, the medical profession, financial services, because there is this disparity of power between the man in the street and the consumer and the big organizations. There's a difference in knowledge, there's a difference in financial resources to go to lawyers, and the Ombudsman is the one place where we can equalize the playing field. And if we do that, and if we are known that we are doing that, and people know about our services and that it's free of charge, I think we can not only sort of level the playing field, but we can enhance the trust in the economy, in business. Because as I've mentioned in my address, there's a lot of mistrust and there's a lot of negativity, as if everybody is out there to really get the consumers, and maybe some cases it does happen. But then the sad part is that people don't know that they can get redress and assistance from the Ombuds offices because they don't even know we exist. And that is really sad. So I think that is the role we play. We really play in this area to level the playing field and ensure that the man in the street get the right advice, get the right assistance, and they are not taken advantage of, and their rights are protected. That would be my story.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It is clear that as Ombuds, you are equalizer, enhancing trust, redress, and making sure that an ordinary person knows where to go. But information as to how to reach you must be there. And we take this meeting as one of those outreach engagements for yourselves. Is there a different view, Prof. or Munira?
Oh, no, I concur with what Reana is saying. As I've mentioned, we are a relatively new organization. We only started in June after promulgation of Chapter 5 of the Act. We only started in operating in June 2022. At this point in time, the public is confused about our role. Many see us as a regulator. They assume that we are going to take up their fight, but as I have mentioned, we only do it in exceptional circumstances where, as I've mentioned, there's maladministration in the terms of the Act. So there may be confusion about the overlap between our function and that of the regulator. But we are trying to educate the profession. It's amazing how many lawyers didn't know about the Legal Services Ombud. So we're trying to educate the profession and the public. We are going to start in a short while on a massive outreach program, so where the public knows not only the fact that we exist, but also we want to extend it. We see our role as beyond that, just answering or responding to complaints, but so that they know their rights in other fields also. It's important for us to extend our educational to the public, to say that, look, if somebody in your family passes away, for example, there's the master's office. If you're in a road accident, there's the RAF that you can go to for help. So unfortunately, a lot of our people don't know what their rights are. So we hope that we can educate the public to know exactly what their rights are.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And sometimes, because you get to these offices, like the master's office and others, there could be long queues there, and maybe staff from your office can actually use that waiting time to actually share some more of the work that you do as part of outreach. But thank you very much. This one is very specific. It is for Prof. Mokoena, the Health Ombudsman. The question is, Prof, is it necessary for someone to have a medical history to do the work that you do? Must you be a doctor to be a health ombud?
The short answer is no, but the long answer is that it is not only desirable, but it's imperative. As I said, that the health and healthcare system is very complex, and that it's very difficult for the non-healthcare person to understand and navigate that maze that the healthcare is. So, in law, there's nothing that in other words, in the founding law or act, there's nothing that requires the health ombud to have a medical background. But in practice, there has been, like most of the staff that populates the health ombudsman's office have got a healthcare background, precisely because of the complexity that I've already referred
to. Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you so much for that. Here is another question. This one, I think it speaks to all of the work that you do coming from different sectors. It's about, or specifically, no, the Health Ombud. Prof, don't leave the floor. What strategies do you have in place to make sure that your office as the Health Ombud is known to the public?
Thank you very much for that. We have lots of strategies, and these entail, first of all, the participation in a number of fora where people may be gathered and talking about human rights in general, but healthcare in particular. And then we have what we call campaigns, and not necessarily on our own, but in conjunction with other organizations, including, for instance, this past year, towards the end of last year, we had a campaign together with the military ombud to make the public aware of these two ombuds offices. Likewise, the Office of the Health Standard Compliance, they have blitz or campaigns that we join. We get to organize our own campaigns, but the devil is in the finance. And as people would know, that we depend 100% on funding from fiscus, from Treasury, and it remains for me to remind whoever is listening that Treasury is cutting down any allocations to everybody because of under collection of revenue. So we have strategies, but we need more resources to effect those strategies.
Thanks, Prof. Thank you so much. I'm very encouraged actually to hear about these collaborative efforts, because with these statutory and non-statutory services being available, I think the public deserves to know that they are there for the takers. Reana, this is for you. Which financial institutions do you mostly get complaints from? Remember, you gave us who falls under the banner. So who is most complained about? Can you share that?
Yes, I mean, obviously not the names of the institutions, but as a grouping, so far in our 1 year of operation, it is the non-life insurance. So that's your motor insurance, especially in motor vehicle accidents in South Africa. A lot of those, and that is the most complained about area. So firstly, non-life insurance, and also, household content and damages claims. Secondly is the banks. And then thirdly is the life insurance, and the least number of complaints comes from the non-life credit. That is, for example, your clothing retail, store cards, micro lenders, and some non-bank financiers, for example, some motor financiers who does their own finance, like BMW finance or Mercedes finance. So that's in that order. So the insurance is the top one, then banks.
Reana, just out of interest, now this is me speaking, I'm using the power of being a facilitator. Once you've noticed that this sector is actually bringing us lots of complaints, do you then have focused recommendations that can actually help lessen the complaints? I mean, what do you do?
Yes, so we engage with the industry, with the individual participants. And of course, they don't want to be seen to be complained about. They see it as a reputational risk. So if they engage with us and there's anything they can do to bring those number of complaints down, in other words, they should be on top of any complaints they receive immediately. They shouldn't be slow in answering it. They must look at their policy wording. They must look at their rejections. We engage with them to interact with them and say, why do you have so many complaints? Individually with the organizations. And then often what happens is an organization that was on top, they bring their complaints down because they have a concerted effort in-house to bring the numbers down. But then somebody else will rise to the top, and then they will, of course, then put in place certain, projects and policies to not be the one most complained about, because that is the thing they really don't like, and it is a reputational risk for them. So we do engage, and we also have to report trends to our regulator if there's any issue from a regulatory point of view that they can enforce. But so far, it's as I say, motor claims, natural disasters, make for a lot of complaints in household area. And then in the banks, most of the complaints are fraud. People suffering losses due to fraud. So we've got those engagements on an ongoing basis.
Thank you. Can you just speak to what you said on, you spoke about fraud earlier, and you said the providers you do not always recommend that they pay, and what is the condition? When do you decide whether I'm liable or they're liable?
Well, it obviously, how we look at cases as ombudsman, you look at each case individually, the facts, you investigate the facts, and you have to get to the bottom of what happened. How did the money disappear? Often clients come to us, the money disappeared out of their bank account. They don't know what happened. The bank will have to give us that details. They will have to show exactly from which device the transaction was authorized, was passwords used, was double factor authentication used. For example, was there a message sent to a cell phone? Which cell phone number authorized it? All of those factors are taken into account. If it is found that the consumer compromised their details, the consumer actually fell for a phishing email and, went ahead and typed in all the details, that is not the financial service provider's, sort of fault. But we can still investigate to see if they then took remedial action quick enough, because the minute the consumer tells them something is happening, I'm getting messages, my money is going out of my account, stop the account. If they don't react quick enough, we can still hold them liable. So there's, in every case, there's possibilities for recovery. There's possibilities to investigate who was the cause of the loss. Was it the consumer, or was it something that the bank could and should have done? Should they have picked up these unusual transactions at 12 o'clock at night. Sometimes it's a normal transaction, not a huge amount in the middle of the day, authorized by the consumer, not knowing, not reading properly. You know, they think it's some package that they just ordered and it's this message, but they're not reading properly. It's obviously not the financial institution's fault, but the consumer's fault. But we investigate those type of situations in detail to the second, what happened when. And that's how we resolve those matters. Sometimes for the consumer, sometimes not.
Okay. Thank you, Reana. And this one is for the Legal Ombud. Munira, the question here is, does your office deal directly with public complaints? And what are the typical problems? And how do people reach you?
We do deal with complaints. Complainants are most welcome to lodge a complaint with our office. We will then assess that complaint. We'll do an assessment and determine whether we should ourselves deal with that complaint, whether it falls within our mandate in terms of the Act. If it doesn't, then we will forward that complaint directly to the LPC and let the LPC as the regulator deal with the complaint. Our offices are in Pretoria. To answer the second part of your question, we can be reached. Our offices are in Pretoria. You know, you can find us on our website. Unfortunately, we don't have our own website at the moment. You have to go via the Department of Justice website, but our details are there.
All right. And the issue of contact details, I think, Frankie and Marion, this could be for you. Participants are asking if the details could be shared.
Yes, I have submitted my details to you. They're at the end of my presentation. So you're most welcome to share those details.
All right. And I think that will have to go for the two other colleagues.
Correct. 100%.
The Health Ombud and Reana. Then this one speaks to a sector that is not represented. The question is there any ombudsman for the education sector? As we observe or hear about numerous challenges that are associated with unethical conduct.
I'm not aware of an education ombud. There might be, but I'm not aware of one. I'm sure I would have heard of an education ombudsman. I think, I don't think there is one though.
Yeah.
I will take advantage. Can I speak to this one? Because my background is that of being a university ombud. Can I speak to this one?
Yes, please.
All right. There is no sector ombud for all of the South African higher education yet. There are 8 universities with their own ombuds office. And if you remember, Prof Mokoena spoke about statutory and non-statutory ombuds. So the university ombuds, they are not government ombuds, therefore they serve those universities as organizations. So their approach is an organizational approach. So out of 26 universities, only 8 have an ombuds approach. There are initiatives, albeit, you know, quite slow, and it could be linked to the change of leadership in the sector. But I am aware, at least I've been actively assisting the Department of Higher Education to actually come up with, you know, the concept paper and ideas around what type of ombudsman, what will be the approach to follow. And I am aware that, you know, CHE, which is Council for Higher Education, just finalized probably about 6 months ago or so, a pre-feasibility study. And feedback from that study was that, yes, it's a necessary office And I think the ball is in the minister's court as to when to implement. So that's as much as I do. I'm looking at additional questions. This question speaks to recommendations. When your offices make recommendations, how quickly do you see them? And if there are delays, how are the delays explained to you? And this is for all of you, I'm sure.
I can answer that also.
Yes.
At this point in time, we have made recommendations. Because we're such a new organization, we're not 100% certain how binding our recommendations are, but we have made recommendations, and the LPC does seriously consider our recommendations. So,
at a pace that
at a pace, there are matters that are still pending, but we will have to wait and see what the impact of our recommendations will be.
Thank you.
If I can go from my side, I think if you're talking about recommendations, outcomes of cases, I mean, as you've seen, we have finalized thousands of cases. So if we make a recommendation where the financial institution in this matter has to do something, or pay a claim or rectify an account, we expect that to happen, I mean, ASAP, as soon as possible. There's no, unless it's very exceptional circumstances and there's something else that needs to happen. So, for example, in the insurance industry, something needs to be fixed, a car or built. But it's, on receipt of that recommendation from our office, unless they want to appeal our decision, which they can. But if they accept it, then it is implementation immediately, and the consumer can expect such. So there will be no delay. There's a delay sometimes in our period that we take to investigate the matter, which can be anything between 1 month or 6 months, even if it's a difficult matter. But once we've made the decision, there's immediate implementation.
Thank you, Reana. So you are the watchdog that barks.
Yes.
We have teeth. Okay. All right. Prof. Mokoena, this is for you. Do you have offices nationally?
No, we don't have offices nationally. I've just alluded to the fact that there's financial constraints, and I don't even think that we do require offices nationally, but we do require to be able to reach everywhere. Now with AI and other stuff, even we medics, being by nature conservative, we are trying to adopt and use some of those. But let me answer the question that you asked first about how soon our recommendations get acted upon. Now, most of the problems that we do encounter are actually, in medical terms, trivial, but they're not trivial to the consumer, because otherwise they wouldn't have brought them to us. So in those cases, it's usually poor communication between the patient and the healthcare providers. And then once we put them together, they are mostly they do have an opportunity to converse and reach an understanding. That usually happens within weeks. We usually give them weeks, or at least less than a month before that happens. And then the more serious ones, they are of a structural nature. For instance, that the institution has got to acquire or repair or refurbish, and that takes a lot of time, often years, because they have to seek budget and then put things on tender and so on. So depending on the recommendations that we do make, they can take a few weeks, or it can take several months, several years. And but they do happen. We don't have teeth as such. What we have is that the Office of the Health Standards Compliance, they monitor together with them. We monitor the response, and the only teeth we have is for the license of the health provider to be withdrawn or suspended. That has not happened yet, in part because although they take time, they actually do show that remedial action is being taken up to now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just a quick one for clarity, Prof. When you say you put the complainant and the provider together, are you talking about mediation?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. And is there anything else that you would like to say? You have about a minute each to actually wrap up. We've come to the end of the proceedings. Just one last thing that you want us to remember or you want to emphasize based on what you shared already. What may be that? Reana, okay. Munira?
Sorry, just to say, a lot of times the public does mistaken us as, they feel maybe we can afford them legal services, but our mandate does not extend that far. Neither do we have a mandate in respect of complaints against magistrates or judges. Our complaints is only within, we are an oversight body only for the legal profession.
Thank you for that clarification. Thanks, Munira. Reana? Reana, we cannot hear you.
Thank you. Thank you, Zethu. From my side, I just want to extend an open invitation to anybody on this call. If you want to engage with our officers, I've already made a note to definitely make contact with Munira, to visit our offices or to engage, whether it's on Teams or otherwise. We often find a lot of value to interact with our colleagues, find out how they do things. We often receive visits, like tomorrow, people from Namibia is visiting our offices. A lot of engagement with people from all over the world, a lot of learnings, both ways. So our open door policy and an open invitation for anybody who wants to interact with us on any matter, and also to work together to extend our knowledge to the public, or knowledge about our office, because we can always do with an extra helping hand in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Prof?
So thanks once again. I just want to close with two comments. One is that I think that the Health Ombudsman is a mandatory thing to adopt for all countries. That the South Africa is the only one that has got a health ombud. It needs to be redressed continent-wise, indeed globally, for the reasons that I've already advanced. And then the other comment I want to make is that the public think that we are able to give them a monetary redress. And I think the way we are designed is that we are not able to do that, and we shouldn't do that. That should be left to the courts. Ours is to make redress about the system, not the financial losses. And if whoever is aggrieved feels that they need financial resource, they can go elsewhere. They can go to lawyers in the courts for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Reana, Munira, and Prof. Mokoena, thank you so much for outlining for us, this audience, excuse me, how in your respective mandates you are united by a common purpose to uphold fairness, to restore trust, and to ensure accountability, especially for the common citizen, for the ordinary person, because of how vulnerable such people can be. So thank you for being there and looking after the rights and interests of such people. Telling us how you can be found, accessibility, and ensuring that the wrongs are actually put right in the system, and where the rights are violated, there is redress. You spoke about redress. And thank you so much for your time, for coming to share. It was vast, it was deep, and we really, really appreciate you. And thank you to Marian and Frankie for creating these spaces. To the many, many, many people who are here as the audience, thank you for the engagement and for taking the time. I think the gospel of ombudsmanry, somebody said, or ombudsing, or ombudship, has got to travel as far wide as possible and get to the rural South Africans, particularly. Marian, over to you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, colleagues and participants. As we bring this important session to a close, it is my honor to deliver a heartfelt vote of thanks on behalf of the African Ombudsman Research Center, the African Ombudsman and Mediators Association, the International Ombudsman Institute, and our valued partners. First, we extend our sincere appreciation to our distinguished panel of speakers, to Ms. Reana Steyn, Head Ombud and CEO of the National Financial Ombud Scheme. Thank you for sharing your insights on strengthening accountability and consumer protection in the financial sector. Your focus on fairness, collaboration, and transparency gave us a strong foundation for sectoral integrity. To Professor Mokoena, Health Ombudsman of South Africa, thank you for your powerful advocacy for a dedicated and independent health ombudsman. Your presentation, grounded in real cases like Life Esidimeni and Rahima Musa Hospital, reminded us of the human impact of system failures and the importance of responsive ethical oversight. To Ms. Munira Balim from the Office of the Legal Services Ombud, thank you for outlining your office's vital role in restoring trust in the legal profession. Your reflections on public accountability and integrity helped us better understand the office's oversight function and the transformative potential. To our facilitator, Ms. Zetu Makamandela Ngukulwa, I pronounced it correctly. Thank you for your thank you for skillfully guiding today's proceedings. As you so aptly put it, today marks a moment of poetic justice. After many years as a panelist and speaker, you've come full circle as a facilitator. You carry this role with your signature warmth and clarity, and we are grateful for your leadership. We extend our sincere thanks to Advocate Koleka Kaleka, the Public Protector of South Africa and Chairperson of the AORC Board, for her unwavering support, even though she was unable to attend due to other commitments. We also wish to thank Ms. Hazel Langer from UKZN Corporate Relations. Although you never see her, she works behind the scenes. So we'd like to thank her and her team. Her calm presence, dedication, and professionalism played a key role in ensuring the smooth running of today's webinar. It is always a pleasure to work with someone so reliable and committed. We are pleased to share that according to the registration reports on Friday, we had 167 registrants from 22 African countries, 6 countries in Asia, 3 countries in Europe, and 2 countries in North America. So there were a grand total of 33 countries represented today. This remarkable reach reflects the growing relevance of specialized ombudsman institutions and our shared commitment to advancing good governance and public accountability across the globe. Thank you once again to everyone who made today's event possible and to each participant for joining us. We look forward to welcoming you again to future AORC events. Just to let you know also that previous events are on the website. You're welcome to go to our website to have a look at our previous events that we've had, and you're welcome to share them with your colleagues. Take care and goodbye for now. God bless. Bye. Thank you.